What's going on, everybody? Only Mike here, and we are back over at the Game Creator making another part in our series for our quest tutorials for a survival game. First, what we want to do is launch quest. Okay, I already did that. Double click, and then we're going to open our game. Going to enlarge my screen here. And forgive me if I have speech impediments, but we've had a couple tonight, so yeah, that's what's happening right now. So, first of all, where we left off was that we made three different items, okay? And with those items, we made a resource spawning function. So, it spawns these items into rooms randomly, and you don't have to do anything besides add the function. So like room 1, which we're not in, if we go over scripts and we see before entering room for the first time, we see that we call this function. And what it's going to do each time, it's going to grab these random chances, which they're all at the same right now, just because demonstration purposes as for now. Anyways, what we're going to be doing today is we're going to touch on our object types because I said I was going to do that last time, but we didn't because we needed to populate our area first. So now that we have our areas populated, let's go ahead and go to our advanced tab. If we go all the way to the left on our little hierarchy here and click the plus button on advanced, we can see object types. This is what we want to click on, and it will open up a new window which gives us an add button. We want to add object type. So the first one is going to be called player data. So we'll call this player data, or you can call it player stats or whatever. I'm just doing this because this is involved with the player itself. And one thing that helps you is that when you start, our player name is player. So if you rename your character, you want to name him to Joe, okay, we'll call it Joe's data. Whatever you want to, that's fine. So in our player data, what we want to do is add some variables slash attributes, and we want to make them all integers. Since we're doing a survival series, I will add the exposure feature, which exposure is just going to be like, how long are you outside? Will being inside of a shelter get rid of that exposure? Being around a campfire, will that help it out? Once exposure reaches a certain level, um, will you start to lose health? Things of that nature. So we'll add that. So let's go ahead and add our first one, health. Type in health. Okay, and then we go back to add. We're going to add hunger. And then we're going to add thirst. Okay, and then last but not least, we are going to add exposure. There we go. Now we have all of them. So first thing we want to do is we want to click on any one of these. Excuse me. Want to click on any one of these. Okay, and down here it says string. Well, we don't need exposure to be a string exactly. Um, I mean, you could, but this is the way we're going to do it. We're going to turn it into an integer, as well as our thirst, our hunger, and our health. These are all going to be integers. And there is our player data. Well, we could use player data as our food data as well. But in your game, you might want to add a little extra to your player, such as in mine, I have shelters and tents and is crafting and all different kinds of things. So that way I can just come over here, hit add, and I can say whatever you want to. I don't even know what to put. Has tool. There, has tool. And so if he has a tool, we'll make this a boolean, which is a true or false. So you can mark it true or false, which you can change that in scripting, but we don't need this right now. We're not worried about that. So as part of this, we're going to go ahead and attach this to the player. So let's go up here to our room, find our player, and then up here at the top, find your attributes tab, click that, and then we're going to find inherited types. So let's go to inherited types, hit add, and we're going to type in player data. Player data, look, we don't even need to finish it, and then we'll put that in. So now we see that we have health, hunger, and thirst. Oh, and our exposure. You can see is already had some values in. I was switching some stuff around earlier, and I was doing it in the wrong one. But you can see that we have, let's go and change these back down to 0. Because that's the way you're going to see them as. That's the way they're going to pop up. They're going to pop up just like the exposure did as 0. And they're all going to be right next to each other. So that's a nice feature of it, that when you put an object type into the object, whatever attribute you put in there is going to show up right underneath all the other attributes. So they all kind of stay together and combined. Like, let's say if I was to add one right now, it's going to pop up at the bottom. And I just type from this. There we go. From this. It's going to pop up all the way at the bottom. And yeah, we don't want all that. So anyways, that's why we use object types. So right now, if we started the game, we're not going to see that we have any attributes over here. It shows that we have nothing over here. So just what's in the room. So in order for us to see these, we need to go up to the top in our player attributes, and where it says status attributes, we want to type what we want to see. So the health, the hunger, the thirst, and exposure. So we're going to add a key under status attributes, and we're going to type health. Be sure your naming convention and your capitals and everything are all the same. Okay, health, we're going to leave that blank because it's not a string. And we're going to go hunger. And no, these don't have to be in the same order that you made them in your player data object type. But I'm doing that because that's what I do. And last but not least, exposure. Exposure. There we go. Now we have all of them, okay? Now our exposure is going to be used as basically how long are you exposed to the elements? How long have you been outside? Etc. Now we're going to end up making this a timer that begins when you start, and then we'll have other features that can cancel that timer, that can run while that timer's running as well. And in that way, like, let's say you have a campfire, okay, and you're outside and it's cold as crap. So you got a campfire, it's warm in front of the campfire, but it's still chilly. So your exposure's still going to carry up, but the campfire will cancel out at least a little bit. We'll get more into depth into that later. So now that we have this, let's set our health. Let's go ahead and set this at 25. Let's set our hunger at, let's just set it at 5, and we'll set our thirst at 8. And we're going to leave our exposure alone. Okay, we'll create a timer um, that will start counting that up. And actually, let's go ahead and do that right quick. So let's go over to timers, go over to your left, under functions, find timers, hit add, and we'll name this exposure time. And interval seconds. So this is how often you want this script to run. So we're going to start it when the game begins. Click that box. Okay. And since this is a demo, we're going to go ahead and leave that on 1 second so we can see it. We're going to click add new script, and we're going to scroll down and find variables, and we're going to increase object counter. Find that and hit add. Now object is going to be us, player, and the counter name is going to be exposure. That variable that we made for our object type. So now, am I spelling that right? Let's see. Exposure. Yeah. Okay. Go back to our timer. Okay. I just want to make sure I was spelling that right. Ha! Alright, so now if we play the game, our exposure time will start increasing every second. So let's play. And it's not even showing it. Okay, so that's awesome. So we got some misspelling somewhere. Let's go to our player data. Nope. Exposure. Exposure is 0. So what's going on here? Why are we not working now? Well, let's go through a little bug processing, shall we? Exposure. It's all there. Why is it not listing it? Let's delete it. We'll add it again. Nothing. Okay, and we'll try it again. Play. Oh, there it is. Okay, we must have hit an extra key or something like that. But anyways, now you can see our exposure is going up every single second. So that's awesome. Now we have an exposure to the forest. So now we want to go back down to object types, and we're going to make a food data. So let's add. I'm going to type food data. And you know what? I want to capitalize this D just because I don't like that. A lowercase and a lowercase next to each other. Alright, so now we got food data. So let's go in here and let's add some more attributes. We're going to add health. We're going to add hunger. And we're going to add thirst. Thirst will come in later when we do drinkable objects. So just like in your player data, we're going to change these all to integers. So come down here to your string and change them integer. There we go. So now we have a food data. So now if we go to our mushroom, go to our attributes tab, hit under inherited types, and we want to type food data. Food data. There it is. So now we get all these, where'd you go, guys? Here we go. So as you can see, like I said earlier, I was messing around. Seemed like it saved it all. I thought I deleted it, but it didn't. So our health, we want to take our health and we want to make that 2. we want to take our hunger and we want to make that 4, our thirst and make that 2. Let's turn our volume down. Okay, and there we go. So now our health is 2, our hunger is 4, and our thirst is 2. So what this is going to do, it's going to take this much health away, give us this much hunger, but also take away thirst. So it's going to help us with hunger, but it's not the best if you're thirsty, and it's not the best for your health. It is a mushroom. So there we go. Now that we got that, now we need to handle the picking up the object itself. So since we're dealing with clones, pretty much, because in our random resource spawner, we're cloning items and we're putting them into rooms. So we don't want to just take the item. Okay, so let's go from our attributes and go to inventory under our mushroom and go to take, default behavior, let's run a script. Okay, and the script that we're going to run is an if statement. So add new script, find if, and then it's going to give us an expression. So we want to say if player is not carrying object, and that object is going to be mushroom. And then if he's not carrying the object, what we want to do, we want to add to the inventory. So come over here, add new script, and click inventory. And we're going to click our mushroom. Okay, that's going to add it to our inventory. But we also want to remove whatever this mushroom name is. So let's say you're in you've been going through rooms and this is, the 17th clone of this mushroom. This mushroom would actually be named Mushroom 17. Okay, so if I said remove this or remove, mushroom, it's going to take it out of my inventory and get rid of it. We don't want to do that. We want to remove this. So add a new script, go down to where we at? Objects. Go down to objects and removed object, add. And instead of saying remove object, we're going to click that and we're going to type expression there. We're going to make that an expression, and the expression is going to be this. So it's going to destroy or remove this item. So even though it technically says mushroom, it's not actually the mushroom. So if that makes any sense, I'm not sure. It took me a second to understand clones and this and that, and I still don't fully understand them. But this is the best way I know to work with them. I know there's a lot better ways to work with stuff, but this is the way I work with it. So now that we picked up the mushroom, okay, we removed this object. Now we need to also increase a counter. And that counter is going to be the mushroom volume. So let's scroll down, add a new script, scroll down to variables, and we're going to increase object counter, add, object is going to be mushroom, and counter is going to be volume. So this is going to add to our volume. So if we take a second here, let's save it. Okay, let's go to our player. And under our inventory on player, we see that we have a maximum volume of inventory. Okay, so we can turn around and take this maximum volume and we can change it and put, 10. So then your maximum volume that you're going to be allowed in that inventory is going to be 10. And I'll actually go over this because it won't actually be 10. You have to make it 9 to be 10. It's weird. I don't know. It subtracts one. It's kind of like Unreal Engine 4 if you ever messed around in anything like that. But anyways, let's get back to this. Go back to our mushroom, under inventory. Okay, now we've successfully added the item if we're not carrying it. But what if we are carrying the object mushroom? So we're going to click else if, and we're going to say is carrying object mushroom. Select mushroom. Then all we're going to do is we're going to click remove object this, hold control, and then click increase object counter. Come up here to the copy button, copy it, come down to the else if then, and paste it under there. So it's going to essentially do the same thing, besides we're not adding the mushroom to our inventory because we're already carrying the mushroom. So it's just going to add to the counter. Okay, so this is kind of like a very basic stacking feature. Alright, so now that we can pick up the mushroom, that's awesome. That's great. So let's go ahead and play it. And oh, we see a mushroom. Let's go ahead and take it. We take it. Now we got a mushroom. Awesome. We can look at it. We can use. We can eat. We can drop it. It drops it. And we can take it. And see how nothing happens when we take it? See, now we have to run a special drop feature. Okay, so now we need to run some script for our dropping actions. So let's go ahead and do that, and that way we'll be able to pick up and drop our mushroom. So we're going to do the same thing like take. We're going to change it to run script. We're going to add a new script, and we're going to say if player is carrying object mushroom. Then what we're going to do is add a new script and get another if statement and say if object counter mushroom, and then that counter volume excuse me, volume is equal or greater than, so I'm going to go equal or greater than 2. Then what we want to do then is we want to decrease our object counter. So add a new script, go to scripts, variables, and decrease object counter, and it's going to be mushroom and volume. And then after that we want to clone this object, so we're going to clone and move. Let me do that over. Okay, after we decrease the volume, add a new script, come down to objects and find clone object and move, and let's add that in. Okay, so what we're going to do, we're going to clone and move the mushroom, and we're going to move to not an object but an expression, and we're going to type in player dot parent. Now if you watch the last part of this series, you'll see what the player.parent is, and that is the current room that I'm in. So if I go into a room, it is currently holding me. I am the child of that room. So that's what that does. Now, if we are carrying the object, but if the object counter, so add an else if the object counter for mushroom volume, and we're going to say is equal or less than 0, then what we're going to do is we're going to copy the decrease counter and the clone object here. We're going to copy those two, and we're going to paste them under here. And then we're also going to add a new script, and we're going to say move object. So click move object mushroom to our room items. So we're going to store, and actually we want to take this, we want to move this up first. So let's select that move object mushroom script, and we're going to move it up twice to the very top. Okay, so we're going to move that to the room items. Then we're going to end up decreasing our counter and then clone the object, and it's going to appear in the room that we're in. So let's go ahead and run that and check it out. So now we see our mushroom. Let's go ahead and take it. Oh, we can take it. Oh, now we can look at it. We can't do nothing. We can't do nothing. So we drop it. Now, before when we dropped it, it dropped it on the ground. And now it's not doing nothing. Okay, so let me go back and check some stuff right quick. So, play that. Okay, we're back, guys, and I see where I messed up on the else if statement. Okay, where I said equal or less than. Let's just do an equal sign, and then we're gonna put a 1 here. It wasn't reading it because our volume didn't equal that. So now that we got that, let's check it out. All right, now we got our mushroom. Let's take it. Okay, we took it once again, and it disappeared out of the room. Now let's drop it. Oh, we dropped it. See, it's our mushroom again. Same thing, take it. And you see how we can take it, and we can drop it, and we can take it, and we can drop it. Over and over and over. And this is going to do it with any of the mushrooms that you encounter in any other room. So if you got like 15, 20, 30, 300 rooms, and you got the same script, any mushroom that you pick up, you'll be able to drop and pick it back up, and you're actually picking up clones, but it's not reading that. Okay, and let's go ahead and let's add one more feature really quick because we're running over in this video. We want to see how many mushrooms that we're carrying, right? So we could do that in a simple look at, but we're going to use the look at as an object description. So look at, it's a mushroom with some fungi. Might not be the best, but better than nothing. So now that we have a look at description, so if we played, and hopefully there's a mushroom, no, of course not. Mushroom, no, of course not. So only problem with that. Oh, there we go. There's the mushroom. So now if we look at it, it's a mushroom with some fungi. Might not be the best, but better than nothing. So there you go. There's a little description for it. Let's go over to our verbs. Okay, and we want to add a verb. We're going to do eat next time. We don't have time for eat. Let's add, can add stack. Let's use that, stack, okay? That's our verb, stack. And all stack is going to do is get our volume count, and it's going to put it out there, and we're going to be able to see how many we are carrying. So let's go ahead and Come down here to print message, and we're going to run script. And under add new script, we want to print a message. We're going to change this message into an expression. And then inside these brackets, these parentheses here, we're going to add you have, and then come out of the parentheses, put a plus sign, and then we're going to type in mushroom, period, volume, and another plus sign. Okay, so what that's going to do is going to say you have the number that you're carrying. Okay, so if you're not carrying any, it's going to say 0. But if you are carrying, and we can even go a step farther and say if you're carrying it, that it shows the variable and that it shows everything. But we're not going to do that. We're just going to leave this like this. And off of that mushroom dot volume with the plus sign, we're going to add another parenthesis, and we're going to say you have X number mushrooms left, period, parenthesis. Make sure you put these parentheses around what you want to actually say, or it's going to give you an error. So now if we run this, let's run it. Please give me a mushroom. Oh, you son of a... No mushroom. Mushroom. There's mushroom. So now if we look, we see stack, you have 0 mushrooms left. Okay, that's because we don't have any in our inventory. But if we take it, and then, now that it's not in the room anymore, we look at it. Now if we hit the stack button, you have 1 mushroom left. So now it tells us that we have 1 mushroom. So if I drop it, just drop it. Now we can stack. We hit that stack button again. You have 0 mushrooms left. That's because we have none in our inventory. So every time we pick it up and we look, it's going to add or decrease every time we take or drop it. So that's the really awesome thing here. It's a very simple stacking inventory system for what we got to come. Alright guys, I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. I know it took a little longer than expected, but when we come back we will be doing eating. We'll be doing an eating verb on the mushroom, which will give us some player stats, and we'll do a little bit else, but that's going to be my main focus. Next one is eating, so hopefully that'll be a nice little short one for you. So hope you guys enjoyed, and until next time, later.